Hi and welcome to my new video and another review. And I'm very glad to have this beast. It's Casio's Protrek PRW-6000. Been wearing it for a couple of days now and must say it's a very versatile watch. Fits perfectly on my arm, craves the attention. Yet it's stealthy on the hand. Fits almost any shirt and yet is not made to be a casual style watch. Regarding the watch functionality, well, there are many of them. Although it's the earliest Casio sensors model, it suits the watch styling very well. Buttons are very well made and designed. Hence the 10 bar water resistant rating. The Casio PRW-6000 is a multifunction watch that is built to last. The triple sensor can provide data on altitude, barometer, pressure and temperature. It also features a basic compass and an atomic clock. The solar power battery stands out of the rest, making it one of the most reliable watches we tested. I love the durable strap featuring a carbon fiber insert. It's accurate and relatively easy to use with practice. The watch is quite light with a weight of mere 72 grams, which means you will hardly notice it wearing it. Weight-wise, it comes with 5 buttons and a digital crown, which you unscrew and pull out to adjust the settings of the watch, and then secure again by pushing it in and locking it in place. The buttons are used for a variety of purposes and can switch function when pressed, or held for 2 seconds. The 2 buttons on the right are for displaying the compass, or either magnetic or true north, and altitude respectively, while the 2 on the left change the time and the info of displayed in the various modes. The button is for the manual backlight and can be set to light for 1.5 to 3 seconds. The materials used are stainless steel, synthetic resin and mineral glass for the watch, and synthetic resin for the wristband. The profile is tighter than some adventure style watches, but still sticks out to compare to the more traditional watches with its width, height and depth measurement of to 52.1 millimeters, 47.9 millimeters, and in 12.79 millimeters in thickness. Turning to looks, again, this is up to personal preference, but I find it quite attractive, with a rugged yet stylish design that inspires confidence in its quality. It comes in a few different design variations, and while I have one of the on my hands, you can have also in the black accent colors. One of my favorite features of the watch is that it's solar powered, meaning you never have to replace the battery, and you will never be surprised by its not working or for the lack of battery power. It can of course still run out of the battery, although I have yet to experience that, but leaving it in the sun for 3 to 6 hours will load it up again. It of course also has a battery indicator. The watch can also be set to power save mode, and you may also want to turn that option off for the backlight to be turned on while the flick of a wrist, and also set to backlight to 1.5 instead of 3 seconds. And before turning to the functions and basic operations, we come to the price and basic features. The price is around $400 and not too expensive comparing it to the market. So here are the key features. It's a multi-band 6 reception of 6 time calibration signals. Tough solar ensures stable operation even when using power-hungry functions. Triple sensor, a compass, barometer, altimeter and thermometer. Low temperature resistant from -10 to the -10 degrees Celsius or 14 degrees in Fahrenheit. The case or the bezel material is the resin or the stainless steel. So a resin band, mineral glass, neo-bright, 100 meter water resistance, world time, 1/100 of a stopwatch, countdown timer, 5 daily alarms and a full auto calendar to the year of 2099, power saving mode also. Now let's move on to the functions and modes of the watch. First of all, we have to watch this subdial over here, or the mode gear, or the mode subdial. This is the main watch hand, so the minute, hour and the minute hand, and the subdial. Now to shuffle between the options that this or the representation of the time that this subdial gives you, you can do that by pressing the display button, and that's the up top button over here, and it's marked on the bezel. So by pressing it once, we have the barometer graph and the date indicated. Again, it shows the digital time, and pressing it again, we have this format of time. So day and the also a day and one setting. Now, to shuffle between the modes or the functions of the watch, press the mode button, and by pressing the button, you can watch this sub-dial or the gear upper gear move to these functions anti-clockwise. So the first function is the barometer, the temperature, the recall mode, the stopwatch, timer, alarm, world time, multi-band signal receive, and back to the time feature or the standard timekeeping mode. Interesting gadget I would like to show you is the move the hands out the way function. That's used to when the hands are in the way of this digit sub-dial, you can move them to get easier access to reading the sub-dials. By pressing the light button and then mode button, I'm moving the hands out of the way, and they will align so you can have a clear view to the sub-dials. By pressing the mode button again, the hands return to the timekeeping mode and the time continues to run. What to say about the light feature? Well, there's a single LED light on the bottom screen, so when I press the light button, which is very well integrated in the bracelet, so when I first got the watch, I even noticed the button, unlike some Gshock models. So when I press it, the LED will light for 1.5 or 3 seconds, depending on the settings of the watch. It illuminates the watch very well, so there's no problem with checking the time. The compass and the altimeter mode. From the timekeeping mode, press the Alti button and the altitude will show. So here is the altitude and here is the altitude graph. The compass mode is activated by pressing the compass button, and the compass is activated. So to navigate the compass, use the seconds hand and the lower sub-dial. Back to the standard timekeeping. Now reading the temperature. Well, it's done by pressing the mode button twice and enter the temperature mode, and the temperature is displayed on the lower sub-dial. Welcome to the tutorial part of this video review, and I'm gonna start with the charging the watch, solar panels, and rechargeable battery. Charging the watch. The face of the watch is a solar panel that generates power from light. The generated power charges the built-in rechargeable battery, which powers watch operations. The watch charges whenever it's exposed to the light. Whenever you're not wearing the watch, leave it in a location where it's exposed to the light. Allowing the watch to become very hot can cause this liquid crystal display to go blank, so hence the screen notifications. What are the power levels of the watch? Well, this watch has 3 power levels, and that's the high, medium, and low. High, it's when all functions are enabled. Medium, well, all functions are also enabled. And the low, auto and manual receive, illumination, beeper, and sensor operation are disabled, and second hand jumps to every 2 seconds. Now I'm gonna put in the screenshot so you can see what are these 3 battery levels. Also, there's a 4th and 5th level. The 4th level says charge, and all hands stop at 12 o'clock and all functions are disabled. And the level 5, when the 3 lines are on the sub-dial over here, all hands stopped at 12 o'clock, all functions disabled, and setting the returns to the initial factory default. The flashing L indicator at level 3 tells you that your battery power is very, very low and that exposure to bright light for charging requires as soon as possible. Power recovery mode. Performing multiple sensor illumination or beeper operation during a short period may cause the recovery indicator, that's the recover over here on the this sub-dial, to start flashing on the display. This indicates that the watch is in the power recovery mode, so it needs to recharge its battery. Charging times of the watch. Well, I'm gonna put in the screenshot so you can better understand what are the times to charge the watch from certain level to another. And power saving mode. When it's turned on, power saving enters a sleep state automatically whenever the watch is left for a certain period in an area when it's dark. and the table I'm going to show you shows how much functions are affected by power saving mode. The watch will not enter a sleep state between 6 a.m. and 9:59 p.m. If the watch already is in a sleep state when 6 a.m. arrives, however, it will remain in its sleep state. The watch will not enter a sleep state while it's in the stopwatch mode or countdown timer mode. Also, the watch will not enter a sleep state while a barometric pressure change indicator is enabled. Those would be the basics of the solar panel and the solar rechargeable battery of this watch. Also the power saving options or modes. Radio controlled atomic timekeeping. This watch receives a time calibration signal and updates its time setting accordingly. However, when the watch is outside of the areas covered by time calibration signals, you will have to adjust the settings manually as required. This section explains how the watch updates its time setting when the city code selected as the home city is on the continent. So for the Japan, you have the Tokyo. For the North America, there's New York, Chicago, Denver, Los Angeles, Anchorage, and Honolulu. For Europe, that's London, Paris, and Athens. And the China, it's the Hong Kong. So what there else to say? How to receive the signal operation. The antenna at the watch is located on its 12 o'clock side. You would have to position the watch with 12 o'clock facing towards the window, and I'm gonna put in the Casio's instructions of the screenshot there. Signal reception is normally better at night. The receive operations takes from 2 to 10 minutes, but in some cases it can take as long as 20 minutes. Take care that you do not perform any button operation or move the watch during this time. The signal reception may be difficult or even impossible under the conditions, like inside or among the building, inside the vehicle, near households, near construction sites, airports, high tension power lines, and among or behind the mountains. Sorry. With auto receive, the watch performs the receive operation each day automatically up to 6 times. When any receive operation is successful, none of the other receive operations for that day are performed. Also, there's an option to manually receive the time from the radio towers. Now I'm gonna show you how to manually get in the mode of getting the received signal. First of all, pressing the mode button until the mode gear over here moves to the RC or receive, and there we are. Now hold down the LT or the lower right button for at least 2 seconds until the RC flashes, and then RC with the exclamation mark shows. So here we go, and there we are. A signal level indicator would have to appear, but now I'm in the building, so there's no signal reception. However, I'm gonna get through this procedure of getting the signal. The signal, the level indicator standing L1, L2, or L3 will stand on display after the reception starts. Do not allow the watch to move or do not perform any operation until GET or ERR appears on the display. So, what are the meanings of this button? The RR stands for if there was a previous successful operation of signal, and the GET means that the signal is getting to the watch. That's if the receive operation is successful, and the date and the time will appear on the display. And we have the weakest signal of all. That means that's the L3. So this watch takes a long time to receive the signal. I'm not gonna wait for 10 to 20 minutes to receive the signal, so I'm gonna move to the standard timekeeping mode. And that's it. I'm gonna get back to the timekeeping mode, and that would be the basics of the radio signal receive point. Also, there's an option to turn auto receive on or off, and how to do that? Well, in the standard timekeeping mode, press shuffling the mode button to the RC on the gear sub-dial over here, and then wait for the RC to show, and there it is. And this is the date that shows that's the last time the signal was received. So in that mode, the RC mode, first of all unlock the crown and then push or pull one click out, and auto receive is currently on. Rotating the crown shuffles the option from on or off, and I'm gonna leave it at on. Once that operation is done, push the crown back in. There's the click, and then rotate the crown back in, lock it in place, make it watertight, and then return to the standard timekeeping mode. That would be all for the radio signal receive or the calibration of the time using the radio signal. Setting the time and date. To set the time and date on this watch, we're going to go to the procedure of those, but first of all we have to configure the home city settings, and there are two home city settings. Actually selecting the home city and selecting either standard time or daylight saving time, that's the DST. To configure the home city and summertime settings in the timekeeping mode, first of all pull the crown out, that's the unlock, and then pull one click and the city will flash on the digital display, indicating that the home city settings can be changed. For details about the city codes, you can find the city code timetable. Rotate the crown to move the second hand to the city code of the city you want to use as your home city. Currently my home city is Paris, so I've done that previously, but here is the demo of that. When I'm shuffling the crown, or moving the crown, actually rotating it, I'm shuffling between these time zones or the cities that represent these time zones. Now I'm gonna go back to Paris because you get the procedure and the point of this segment. That's the Paris time zone. How to enter the DST settings screen? Well, that's done by pressing the mode button over here, and we have the DST setting currently on. Now we have the DST auto, off, or on. I'm gonna leave it at auto because that's the best and that's the preset value of the watch, and that's the best option for the timekeeping. After you change the home city or the DST settings, the hour hand and the minute hand will automatically move to the appropriate time saving mode. After the settings are done the way you want, push the crown back in, that's the click, and then lock it, and the daylight saving time is turned on when the DST setting is on the lower display. Now that's not currently shown because I'm not in the DST time zone, but when I was rotating the crown, you saw that when the DST was on, DST mark was lit up here. Configuring current time and date settings manually. Now you can configure current time and date settings manually when the watch is unable to receive a time calibration signal, as I talked previously about the time calibration signal. To change the current time and date settings manually in the timekeeping mode, first pull out the crown, and this will cause city to flash on the lower sub dial. Next step would be to press the upper or the display button shown on the bezel, and this will indicate the hour and minutes time to flash. The second hand will point either to AM or the PM. That's the A, that's the P, standing for the this is the setting mode. In the following steps I'm going to show you how to cycle between the settings of the watch. Now rotating the crown moves us to the hour and the minute settings. The hour and the minute settings, and when I'm rotating the crown, I'm able to adjust the settings, and when I saw it rotated it faster, the hand started to move faster, and when I rotate it back, I have to go one step at a time. So that's basically the procedure of setting the hour and the minute hands to the correct time. It's 12:15. I'm gonna get it to the 12:15. Each press of the B button shuffles to the hours next setting, and that's the hour setting. Currently rotating the crown moves the hour hand. Next up, pressing the mode button again shifts us to the year setting, and that's done also by rotating the crown. Next press gets us to the rotation of the day and month and day. I previously said that you can enter the high speed and 2 increments of speed when rotating these hands, and that's for fast adjustment of the hands. And basically that would be the settings of the time, date, year, hour, minute, and the home city or the daylight saving time mode. Once we are done with that, push the crown back in, and the time will get to the standard timekeeping mode or the time you have previously preset. Additional settings of the watch, including the 12 and 24-hour format, since this is a part of the setting the time and date. Now, in the standard timekeeping mode, first unscrew the crown or unlock it, and then pull one click, and then the city code will flash on the subdial. Next press would be the mode button, and now we are shuffling between the DST time, and we can move it from the auto on or off. I'm gonna leave it at auto setting. Next press is shuffling the key or the button tone operation, and I can move it between the mute and the button tone operation on. Next press of the mode button gets us to the auto illumination settings, and the auto illumination is the when you flick your wrist to see what's the time, the auto illum will turn on. Next press the light, that is the duration of the light when you press the L button, and the auto illumination duration, and I can swap it between 1 second and 3 seconds. Next press of the mode button gets us to 24-hour and 12-hour format, and I'm gonna leave it at the 24-hour format. Next press on the mode button gets us to the option to turn on or off power saving mode, and I talked about it in the part where of the charging mode and the solar cell of the watch. Next press of the mode button returns us to the standard timekeeping, or sorry, to the setting of the home city and the first step of the setting of the watch. So we ran through the cycles of setting the watch, and now I'm back at the setting the time. So shuffling between, I get to set the hour, minutes, hour, year, and date setting. So that would be with this part. I'm gonna conclude all the settings of the time and date. Push the crown back in, the time will return to the standard timekeeping, and the crown, push the crown back in and rotate it to lock it in place. Hand home position adjustment. If the watch is exposed to strong magnetism or impact, its hands can go out of the alignment with the time on the digital display. This can result in an incorrect time indication even though a time calibration signal is being received, as I showed you previously. This watch has a function to correct hand position automatically as required. Now how to adjust home positions. In the timekeeping mode, pull out the crown. That's the first knee, as I call it, and the city will flash on the lower subdial. Now press and hold the Alt button until hand set flashes, and then hand adjust appears on the digital display. So here is the hand set, holding it, hand adjust. Now we are in the process of adjusting the watch hands. I have to wait for all the hands to align at 12 o'clock, as well as the second hand, so the mode, hour, minute, and the second hand to align at the 12 o'clock position. We are currently aligning the watch hands and waiting for a signal from watch to push the crown back in. And there it is, all the hands are properly aligned, so push the crown back in, and we have aligned the watch hands. So the watch has done it for us, and That's the calibration of the watch hands, synchronizing the watch hands or the analog with the digital time. So that would be the basics of the hand home position adjustment. Once we are done, rotate the crown back in to lock it in place. Using the stopwatch on the PRW-6000 is done like this. From the standard timekeeping mode, I'm gonna press the mode button over here until this gear hand over here moves to the stopwatch or the ST inscribed on this upper dial. So let's go on. Temperature, recall, and now we are in the stopwatch mode. And what do these numbers represent? Well, we have the current time shown over here on these analog time display, and over here first zero over here is the hours, then next row is the minutes, then comes the seconds, and this is the 1/100th of a second time. So how to perform this watch or the stopwatch function measures the elapsed time, split times, and two finishes. To perform the elapsed time operation, push this button over here. That would start the stopwatch. Also push the same button again to stop it or to resume the stopwatch, and then again to stop it, and to reset the stopwatch, press the compass button. And this pretty much is the basics of the elapsed time operation. To pause at a split time, first of all start the stopwatch, then press the upper right button or the compass button to split, and the SP will appear on the digital display. There it is. That was shown. Now split release, stop, and again to reset the value. So there's an option on this watch to measure the two finishes. What would be the note to say about the stopwatch mode? Well, it can indicate the elapsed time up to 23 hours, 59 minutes, and 59.999 seconds. So let's get to the measuring the two finishes. First of all, start, that's the Alt button, split with the upper right one, stop, the lower Alt button, that means the second runner finishes. That's it. Then split release, and then reset. So that would be the basics of the measuring the two finishes and the basics of the stopwatch on this watch. Using the countdown timer, the countdown timer can be configured to start at a preset time and sound the alarm when the end of the countdown is reached. To enter the countdown timer mode, we are going to use the mode button, and again look at this upper subdial, and we will have to move the this hand to the timer inscribed on the subdial, and also you can see it over here on this lower subdial. So there is the timer. We are in the timer mode. So currently the preset value of the countdown timer value is the 10 minutes. So to specify the countdown timer mode, first we would have to pull the crown out, but before pulling we have to unlock it, and there it is, it popped out. So one push on the watch, push the crown, sorry, until you hear the click, and this will cause the current time minutes to to flash, and the digital display over here is flashing. So let's now rotate the crown to adjust the settings, and as you can see, I'm shuffling between these modes. So that would be the basics of the countdown timer. Once we are done, I'm gonna push the crown back in and get the analog time running again, but I'm gonna lock the crown. And how to perform a countdown timer operation? Well, on the press of the lower right button, I'm gonna start the countdown timer. Also the same press on the Alt button gets to stop it and resume it, stop it, and the upper right button to reset it. So basically that would be the basics of the countdown timer. Now an alarm sounds for 10 seconds when the end of the countdown timer is reached. This alarm will sound in all modes. The countdown time is reset to its starting value automatically when the alarm sounds. So that would be the basic operations and the basics of the countdown timer. The alarm mode. Now you can set the 5 independent daily alarms. When an alarm is turned on, an alarm will sound for about 10 seconds each day when the time in the timekeeping mode reaches the preset alarm time. You can also turn on the hourly time signal, which will cause the watch to beep twice every hour or on the hour when it reaches 0. So how to enter the alarm mode? Well, by pressing the mode button, I'm gonna shuffle the functions to the alarm mode, and that's the this function, or that's this position over here. Currently it's in the timer mode, so I believe one press gets us to the alarm mode. But when we are in the standard timekeeping, I would have to keep pressing the mode button until I get to the alarm. So now I can shuffle between the 5 daily alarms using the compass and the altimeter button. So, and over here we have the is it that alarm on, or is it the signal on or off? So currently, as you can see, all the alarms are off, as well as the hourly time signal are off. So again, using these two buttons, I'm shuffling between the alarms 1 through 5 and the hourly time signal. How to set some alarm time? Well, when I selected the alarm 1, let's say alarm 1, I'm gonna push the crown back in, and I'm gonna set the time that I want my alarm to sound on. Well, this automatically turns the alarm on, and here we have over here on the lower subdial inscribed the ALM, which stands that the alarm is on. How to you can also fast scroll the value by pressing the rotating the crown faster, which is much easier than every time clicking the rotating the crown by one increment. So once we are done, I'm gonna push the crown back in and the alarm is on. How to turn that alarm on? Well, by pressing the display button, it's the upper left one, I can turn off this alarm. Again, shuffling between the alarms, I can each and every alarm can be turned on or off by pressing the display button. So I'm gonna leave all the alarms off. After the setting is the way you want, you push the crown back in, and that's what I did. And the setting alarm causes the alarm to turn on automatically, as I previously said. To turn so basically let me get to the hourly time signal. There it is. And when I turn it on, also amongst the alarm mode, you have the signal mode, and it's inscribed on the lower subdial. When I turn it off, it disappears. So how to test the alarm? In the alarm mode, hold down the Alt button to sound the alarm tone, and that's the alarm tone. Basically, that would be the basics of the alarm. And once we are done, pressing the mode button gets us to the standard timekeeping mode. Checking the current time in a different time zone, you can use the world time mode to display the current time in any of the 29 time zones or 29 cities around the world, which acronyms are inscribed in this inner bezel of the watch. How to enter the world time mode? I'm gonna keep pressing the mode button and until this hand over here on the subdial shows the world time, and it's shown on the lower subdial, and there it is. Now once I'm in the world time mode, this second subdial, or sorry, lower subdial, shows the current time in the home city time. So how to check if the time in your secondary time zone is AM or PM value? Well, pressing the LT button, this second hand will move to the either A or PA, P standing for PM and A standing for the AM. So let's do that. It's the PM value, and it will return to the standard taking to the value of your second time zone. To configure the world time and summer time settings in the world time mode, unlock and push the crown one click until the city flashes on the digital subdial. Now I'm going to rotate the second hand to the city code you want to select. So here am I rotating the second hand to the one of those cities that I want. Let's say I want to go to Tokyo. So currently I'm set to Tokyo time. How to enter the setting of the DST? Press the lower left button or the mode button, and now I'm rotating between the daylight saving time or on or off in the Tokyo time. After the settings the way you want to do it, I'm gonna push the crown back in, and that would be the basics of the setting the world time mode or the second time zone. There's also a cool option to swap the cities, your home city and your world time city. In the world time mode, hold down the upper left button for 3 seconds, and the two cities will change time. So your primary time zone becomes your secondary and vice versa. So that would be the basics of the world time city mode. The compass mode, or taking the directional readings, point the 12 o'clock position of the watch in the directions reading you want to take. So I'm hoping the camera catches the face. Yes, it does. So here it is. The watch is faced or placed horizontally, and then I'm gonna activate the compass by pressing the compass button. So the compass appeared on the lower subdial and it indicated that the compass procedure is in progress. So starting a digital compass operation will cause the second hand to move momentarily to the 12 o'clock, and it did, and after that it will indicate the magnetic north. Now, what are the digital compass readings? After the first reading is obtained, the watch will continue to take digital compass readings automatically each second up to 60 seconds. After that, the reading operation will stop automatically. The auto light switch is disabled during the 60 seconds the digital compass readings are being taken. Note that taking a directional reading while the watch is not horizontal can result in a large direction reading error. I'm gonna put in the screenshot so you can better understand what are the bearing indication meaning and the objective bearing angle to objective. You can also calibrate the watch, and I'm gonna show you that later. Actually show you right now how to perform a bidirectional calibration. And we have left the compass mode, again pressing the compass. In the digital compass mode, pull the crown out, and this will cause this to appear on the sub dial. While keeping the watch horizontal, press the upper compass button, and weight will be shown on the digital display while calibration is in progress. And then we are waiting for OK, and there it is. Now turn 180 degrees, and the calibration is successful. If the number 2 appears and error appears display, it will read the error. So let's rotate the watch again 180 degrees and press the compass button, and weight will be shown in display while calibrating is being performed. When calibrating is successful, it should be right OK, and auto calibration is complete, so push the crown back in. That would be performing the bidirectional calibration. Now the watch is taking readings as I'm moving the watch. That would be the basics of the watch's compass mode, and having an idea of your current location is important when mountain climbing or hiking. And you can also find your true north or the true south on the map, so you can better calibrate your watch. Of course, you would have to check your bearings regularly so you can adjust your compass mode or your compass. That would be all regarding the compass or in the compass mode. The altimeter mode. The watch takes altitude readings and displays results based on the air pressure measurements taken by a built-in pressure sensor. It also saves various types of altitude records and the data. How to enter the, well, first of all, let's say the altitude has the auto reading interval. You can select either of the following two auto reading intervals, and that would be reading the 1 second intervals for the first 3 minutes and then every 5 seconds for approximately the next hour, and that's indicated by this lower subdial, and I'm gonna show you that. And then would be the reading at 1 second intervals for the first 3 minutes and then every 2 minutes for approximately next 12 hours. How to specify the altitude reading interval. First of all, I'm gonna go to the altimeter mode by pressing the Alt button, and whilst I'm in that mode, pull the crown out, and we have flashing appeared. Now I'm gonna press the lower mode button, and this will cause the INT shown on the lower subdial. Now rotate the crown to select either one of those, and after the settings is done, push the crown back in, and so you can leave your settings as I said. So what would be the 2 minutes stand? That's the reading at 1 second interval for the first 3 minutes and then every 2 minutes for approximately next 12 hours. And when I rotate the crown to 5, well, that means reading at 1 second intervals for the first 3 minutes and then every 5 seconds for approximately the next hour. Once I'm done with the settings, I'm gonna push the crown back in, and the altimeter will go to the reading the altimeter value. How to take the altimeter readings? Well, these are the altimeter readings, and this is the altimeter graph. How to interpret the altimeter graph? Well, what does the graph show? Well, it shows the increments of your that's the altitude tendency graph, and it shows changes in altitude over the past 6 readings that were taken by automatically by the watch. And to minimize the chance of the error, you should update the reference altitude value before setting on a track on every daily activity. And I'm gonna put in the screenshot so you can better understand this graph, reference altitude graph. So how to specify the reference altitude value in the altimeter mode. Again, I'm in the altimeter mode, pull the crown out, and this will cause the readings value to flash. Rotate the crown to change the value in 1 meter, or you can do even the high-speed movement by rotating the crown even faster. You can set the reference value within the range of -3,000 to 10,000 meters, and pressing these two buttons at the same time returns to the off. And what does it mean? Well, that means no reference value, so the watch performs air pressure altitude conversion based on the preset data only. After the settings the way you want, push the crown back in to exit the settings screen. Well, you can also specify the altitude differential measurement range. Well, what does it mean? Well, that's the relative altitude measurement range. Can be set to 100 and 1000 meters, and the display units of 5 meters and 50 meters. In the altimeter mode, to do that in the altimeter mode, pull the crown out. Sorry, I get that all the time wrong. So pull the crown out, and this will cause flashing of the altimeter value. Press the mode button twice, and we are at the DFF mode. So how to change that? Well, simply rotating the crown to the 100 or 1000 meters. And I want to do increments of the 1000 meters. Then push the crown back in, and again I'm in the altimeter mode regularly. Now, while comparing the altitude difference you determined on the map and the watch's altitude differential value, advance towards your destination. If the map shows that the difference in altitude between your location and destination is plus 80 meters, for example, you know you will be nearing your destination when the displayed altitude value shows the value of plus 80 meters. The altitude differential with the reference location is indicated by the second hand. That's the altitude differential indicator, as I'm going to show you this screenshot over here, and that will for sure explain a lot of things. Barometer mode, or taking the barometric pressure readings. This watch uses a pressure sensor to measure the air pressure, that's the barometric pressure. And how to take the barometric pressure readings? Well, that's the first mode from the timekeeping mode, and watch this hand, it will move to the baro and the barometer will appear on the display, indicating that the barometric pressure reading is in progress. Now the results will appear on the lower sub-dials, and after barometric pressure reading operation started, the watch will take readings every 5 seconds for the first 3 minutes and every 2 minutes after that. To start the operation again from the beginning, press the LT button, or in this case lower right button, and the watch will return to timekeeping automatically if you do not perform any operation from approximately 1 hour after you enter the barometer mode. Now the barometric pressure is displayed in this case in the units of the hectopascals, but that can be changed to the imperial units. The displayed barometric pressure value changes to 3 lines if the measured pressure falls outside the range of the 260 hectopascals to 1100 hectopascals. You can select either hectopascals or the inches per Hg as the displayed unit for the measurement barometric pressure. What is the barometric pressure graph? Well, that's these lines over here. Currently doesn't look like a graph, but believe me, it is. The barometric pressure indicates the changes in the atmosphere. By monitoring these changes, you can predict the weather with reasonable accuracy. This watch takes barometric pressure readings automatically every 2 hours. Readings are used to produce the barometric pressure graph and barometric pressure differential pointer readings. How to read the barometric pressure graph? Well, that's the let's put in this little screenshot over here, and the horizontal axis of the graph represents the time, with each dot standing for 2 hours. The rightmost dot represents the most recent reading, and the vertical axis of the graph represents barometric pressure, with each dot standing for the relative difference between its reading and that of the dot next to it. Next dot represents the 1 hectopascals. How to engage the barometric pressure differential pointer? The pointer indicates the relative difference between the most recent barometric pressure indicated in the barometric pressure graph, and I'm going to show you the barometric pressure graph later, but first I'm going to show you how to activate that option. So currently the seconds hand is showing the current time as well as the analog watch minutes and the hour hands. How to shuffle between those modes? Well, it's done by pressing the upper left button, and the seconds hand will move to the point to the barometric pressure differential pointer. And for better understanding, here is the graph, so you can better understand what am I talking about. So there's an option for you to read the barometric pressure changes indications. Your watch analyzes the past barometric pressure readings and uses a barometric pressure change indicator to inform you about the changes in pressure. If the watch detects a significant change in the barometric pressure, it will beep and display a flashing arrow. These flashing arrows indicate some sort of weather changes. So that would be the basics of this barometric pressure reading, or the barometer mode of this watch. Specifying altitude, barometric pressure and temperature units. Now I'm going to show you the procedure to change the barometric pressure and temperature units as well as the altitude units. so you can use those units in those modes. How to do that? Well, to change those units, first of all, you have to be in the mode where you want to change those units. So, for example, let's go to the altimeter mode, and whilst I'm in the altimeter mode, I'm gonna pull the crown one click, and I'm gonna keep pressing the mode button until I see the units, and that would be the units. Now rotating the crown changes from feet to meters, and once you are done with your setting, pull the crown, push the crown back in, and that would end your settings. How to set the values for your compass? Well, there are no values actually for compass. There's a barometric barometric mode. Pull the crown back out, and keep pressing the mode button until you get the units, and now it's flashing the hectopascals, but when I'm rotating, it goes back to the shuffles between the metric and the other unit. So I'm gonna leave it at hectopascal, push the crown back in. Pushing the mode button again gets us to the temperature readings. Pull the crown back out one click, press the mode button, and I can shuffle between the modes using the crown rotation ability. So I'm gonna leave it at the Celsius mode, and that would be all. Push the crown back in, and we are currently at the Celsius readout. So that would be all for setting the or specifying the altitude barometric pressure and temperature units. And with that, I would conclude this, I would say, huge review and detailed review of this PRW-6000. Thank you very much for watching my video and all other videos. Please do leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already for more of these watch reviews and watch contents. Thank you very much.